everybody's okay with that.
Meeting is being recorded.
And I am gonna I sent the agenda over. I'm gonna share that right now though, so we can just kind of go through it together. How come I can't find my share screen? Corey, where's my share screen?
It's usually at the bottom.
Yeah, I know. I don't see it. Oh, there it is. Got it. Okay. Oh, this is not the one I want to share. Oh, yeah, it is. All right, everybody can see that?
Yep.
Okay. So we've got everybody here, and Mike, I'm gonna write Mike as a guest.
But
Mike, remind me of your last name.
Alexandra and Jenny don't seem to be here.
Yeah.
I know Alex planned on popping in later after her meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alex is coming later. Yeah, you're right, Jenny. I thought I saw her name. I guess she didn't come. Okay, so she might be here. She might pop in. And I will keep an eye on that. So thank you for our guest, Margaret. Welcome. And Mike, is this the first time you've come to a board meeting?
Yes, it is.
I'm so glad to have you. Well, first, I just want to thank you for all the work you do on the newsletter. It is fantastic. We love it. And I am very appreciative of you stepping in and doing the jobs this week. I know that that's not on your dance card, and we're not gonna expect that you keep doing that. So we are still looking, and we'll get to that in just a second. I'm going to let you talk about that in a minute. I just put the meetings up again, just so we have them April 1st through December 2nd, all at 6. The election results, this has been quite a snafu, but this is the official election results. These are the members that is up there, that for chair, vice chair. Ruth is secretary. She had 2 write-in votes for that. Sergi actually was with somebody else, but somebody else I have emailed and have not gotten a response. Hillary emailed and has not gotten a response. So it could be they were written in by someone and they didn't even know they were written in, and maybe thought we were just, I don't know, spamming. So anyway, this person did not respond. So Sergi's gonna fulfill this position alone. We would welcome that person if they do respond. Sergi has already said that she's open to maybe kind of co-doing this together this year. Nicole won as publicity coordinator, and then Alex, James, and Solomon are 3 at-large members.
And Stacy,
so Mike,
before you go any further, you have the wrong spelling for Mike's last name. Where your cursor is. It's MC, not Case.
Oh, I put a K in there. Thanks. So Mike, I'm going to send that to you for next week's newsletter, so we can just at least announce the results, even though it's a little bit delayed. Yeah. But it was really all from not hearing back from the write-ins. It was more than just for the membership coordinator. There were other write-ins as well, and we just this is what we figured out. Okay. So Mike, if you do you mind, I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but could you talk a little bit about the newsletter? And then I want to talk about the freelance pay minimum. We did not discuss that really at the last meeting. So I know you brought that up. You asked me about that, and I want to bring that up today. But let's talk about what you're looking for the jobs and what your need is.
Well, like I say, this past week, what happened was, probably like everybody else here, every day or every other day, I go out and search for jobs, online and stuff, and clients and things. And I came across maybe a couple, three or four, I guess I ended up with, I think 1 or 2 I actually had to go out and look for, but a couple at least I just came across during my searches for what I would be interested in and stuff like that. And it didn't take a lot of time, of course, because I'm right there, and all you have to do is copy and paste it into a file and everything. But yeah, it's something that I don't mind doing every now and then, I guess, maybe, but it's something I don't want to do forever, along with everything else that I'm doing
Yep.
and everything, and dealing with MailChimp, which if anybody here is a big
Tell me
fan of
about it.
MailChimp, I apologize, but it's not my favorite. So,
Uh,
um,
Well, okay, so I think I'm glad that you said that. This is that as you're going out and you're looking for jobs, kind of gigs for yourself, you're like, oh, I can put these in there. That in the interim, until we find somebody to volunteer for the jobs roundup, I am hoping that there's a couple of us at least on the board who can, as we're out doing our work throughout the week, if we are looking for gigs, we come across any that we just send them Mike's way. All you have to do is send the link. It doesn't have to be, but just so that we can have a few in there and we don't have to leave it blank or just hope that Mike might do, we don't want to put that on. I don't want Mike to take that on. I like that he's the newsletter editor and is kind of in charge of all of that. So I think we need to put out another request for a volunteer. And is Nicole here? She is, right?
I'm here.
Okay. Hi, Nicole. Nicole, is this something that we can put out on all of our social channels?
Yes, I so it's kind of along with the project under publicity that I'd really like to do as well.
Okay. Can you say that again? You cut out just in the beginning.
Oh, sorry. Yes, that would be easy enough to do, and it aligns with a publicity coordinator project that I would really like to do, which is a engagement or like how to get involved menu, in case someone doesn't want to make the leap to run for a board position, but would like
Sure.
to get involved.
Okay.
That's a great idea.
I love it. So you can put it out on X and Facebook. And Susan is still involved. She's not coming to meetings and she doesn't hold a title right now, but she is still going to be involved with Facebook and X. And she's doing Blue Sky also. So you could reach out to her as well, Nicole. I think, Mike, do you feel that we've should hold off on putting it in the newsletter, or could we put it in the newsletter again this week?
yeah, I probably could have put it in again this week. So just added something silly about the weather at the top. So I could have put something about daylight savings time too, but I didn't think about that. So yeah, and I had an idea too. I think some number of people here are probably on this too, but I'm on the SPJ gaggle email list,
Oh, yeah.
whatever it is.
Yep.
Maybe we should list it. I can list it there.
Oh,
And
that's a
say,
great
you know,
idea. Yeah,
So-
Mike, that would be great, Mike, if you want to do that. I'm on the gaggle as well.
Okay.
That would be great. There's also, and I haven't reached out to him, but there is a person who came to a board meeting in December that I mentioned it last time. I actually just forgot I forgot to reach out to him. So there is an actual human who has come to one of these meetings who had expressed interest in getting involved. So I will email him too. Mike asked me about what our final sort of stance or position is on the freelance pay minimum to be included in the newsletter. And I know we have differing opinions on this. I just want to open this up to discussion to see if we can come to an agreement on what kind of cutoff we should have and how tightly we stick to that. I am very much on the side of do not ever post a low paying job, but I know other people have different opinions. So I'm just going to open it up to discussion.
I know with the EFA, there's a floor below which they will not post so-called opportunities. And the only argument in favor is that people who are just starting out might not only need, but be interested in some of the lower paying opportunities. I'd rather see only offering ones that pay decently, but I understand the perspective of there are people who need those to get started and to start building up a portfolio.
Yeah.
I have a few
I
questions.
may, oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
Sorry.
Solomon.
I have a few questions after the comments about it because I've been keeping up with the
Oh.
reading and the messages. So I had a few questions, but I want to wait till everybody gets their say out.
Okay, James.
Yeah, a few things. I don't know like what resources we have available. What if it could be not even like a resource thing, but it is hard to get busy professionals and busy freelancers to go out of their way to do things for free. We were talking about this at the IIJ conference last week. It's like what are you willing to do for free, and what are you not willing? So I feel like when we're advertising the position for the job for the jobs vital in the newsletter, we need to like incentivize it somehow. Like, oh, this will get you, like, I joined the newsletter because I wanted something on my resume. I wanted something in my portfolio. So maybe like really emphasizing like what you'll get out of it. Instead of like, hey, we're just looking for someone, but it's like what will you gain? If it's not money, is it connections, is it community, is it you'll gain certain skills and whatnot. And I think like that's one thing that I wanted to talk about in the next engagement committee is like really honing in on what we're offering. And then my second thing is I have kind of shifted my position on like the rates, like what's the rate? And I think I'm now firmly in the like nothing under 200 camp and like no low paying jobs. Because like I used to see that point of young folks and folks just starting out like myself, are gonna want to go after that low weight, but I don't think we should keep feeding them that, and I think we should try and empower them to go and empower them and give them the tools and knowledge to go after and pursue those higher rates. But now I'm kind of firmly in that no low weights camp, but those are just my thoughts.
The only problem with that, and I agree that people should do their best to find projects that pay well, but the clients that pay more aren't interested in people who don't have some kind of experience or portfolio. So that's the other half of the starting out conundrum of, how do you get paid better if you haven't got anything in your portfolio? But it just, I think if we come up with some language that makes it clear that we would prefer people go after projects that pay well, and that we only include some of the lower paying opportunities to give a chance to people who are new to freelancing, that might cover both sides of the question.
And just jumping in again, when I did the jobs for maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years, I did it for a long time where I collected jobs and I stuck to the no low paying jobs. And as I was looking for them, I don't imagine it's changed much. The jobs that were not great pay were a dime a dozen. They're very easy to find. We could post probably 50 jobs a week. I'm sure Mike can attest to this. There's a lot of jobs that pay nothing or pay $50 or 5 cents a word. And I think that, I mean, you can find those easily on Indeed and LinkedIn. And I feel like that is something that anyone who's looking for a job can easily find. I think it's the higher paying jobs that aren't necessarily just out there every week on Indeed or LinkedIn or something like that, that are where you got to dig a little bit more. Those are where we are offering, I think, more value and something that they can get outside of other newsletters. I also have a lot of newsletters that I subscribe to that I used to get jobs from And they all, a lot of, I shouldn't say all, a lot of those have those lower paying jobs. So there's way more than one source out there where someone looking for job is subscribed to these. Oh, this person gives me job ideas every two or twice a week. This freelance community gives me once a week. And I sort of prided myself and ourselves, we've done this since I stopped doing the jobs. This has kept up, that we did not post those low paying jobs, and we didn't have what all the other newsletters had. They were so easy to find. And that's, I think that's where I stand on it too, is that if you can go out and find a lower paying gig, all of us could find one probably in the next 20 minutes.
Well,
The higher,
maybe one way around that goes back to the idea of some kind of explanatory brief, explanatory language. Maybe we don't do low-paying jobs, and we say in each issue, please note that low-paying jobs for people seeking experience can be found online in various platforms. We are focusing on ones that are appropriate for experienced journalists. And then maybe that,
Yeah.
again, maybe that covers both sides of the story.
I would
Yeah.
also add that we could also prioritize publications that accept pitches from freelancers with no portfolio. Like Trails Magazine, I was at one of the pitch me sessions. It was like info about pitching, and they were like, we pay well, but you do not have to have a portfolio. Like this could be your first pitch. They said, start out at, some smaller stories like an outhouse review, and then work your way up to like features and things. So maybe it's also going out and finding publications and people who are willing to hire with no prior experience as well.
Yeah. I'm writing down what you said, Ruth, and just seeing if we can craft. I'm gonna send you, just in the background, everybody. I'm gonna send Ruth. Ruth is our resident editor. I'm gonna add a couple things to that, and then I'm gonna send it over to you and have you sort of make it look great. And then maybe Mike.
And I think one thing to do, since you need to wrap up at a specific time tonight, go ahead and send that to me. And then what let's do is I'll circulate it to the group by email in the morning, and everybody else can chime in on anything they think should be changed.
Okay. Okay.
Rather than spend time on it tonight.
Yeah, and I will send it. I'll email it to you, Ruth, and I'm gonna CC Mike on it just so that the three of us are at least all in the same.
Perfect.
I want Mike involved in every step of the way. So, okay.
Can I?
So, yeah. Oh, Solomon. Yes.
Oh, I didn't want to interrupt you. I want to wait to think you're finished, but okay. So I've been reading about that and the conversations, and just from my perspective, I think one of the problems the organization has is that young journalists who need help don't come here because they don't think that there's anything for their level, right? So like when we don't post stuff that they can apply for or that's at that level, then they don't really see it as a resource. So that's something to consider. And then having said that, a $25, $50 job is not, even entry level for most markets, like most entry level stuff is going to be about, 150 up. But having said that, I think the other thing is that if we're offering several jobs in the session, we can look at low paying jobs as a little bit of seasoning, because we have to offer, I feel like we should offer something, because it's thin out there for beginning career journalists, and they're taking what they can get. And a lot of us have to take that kind of stuff. Like even now I would take that kind of stuff, maybe not a $50 job, but I know people who are looking for that kind of stuff. And the other thing is that I was going to say that I'm trying to read my own handwriting, so sorry. The other thing I was going to say is that we have to keep that. I think we should really keep the beginning journalists in mind, because those are the beginning level journalists are the ones that we really need to come. And if we cater, if we don't offer something for that level, that entry level journalist, there's not a real reason for them to see this as a resource. and see the other resources that we have available. Because again, you know, it's thin out there and people are taking what they can get. And if they see that we at least see that, you know, that would be something. So I think we should think of low paying jobs as seasoning for the jobs list and not as the main subject. So maybe it's not so much about, you know, not including them at all, but obviously, yes, not making them a priority. And as James was saying, you know, that's a separate project to work on, you know, to start connecting to people to see if they can, you know, offer what they offer and if they do have positions for people that don't have a portfolio.
Yeah, those are all good. Those are all good points. Nicole?
What I think, I agree with Solomon. We don't want to have the barrier to to freelancing be so high. And I like very vividly recall that when asking like, should I go freelance? The answer is like, do you have an anchor client, right? And so what that looks like could be something that's low paying but abundant to start out.
Yeah. Yep.
And so given that, it makes me wonder if instead we put some sort of disclaimer that says, as a freelance community, we advocate for high paying jobs. From time to time, we will post other jobs that are worthy for whatever reason, you know, on our
You're breaking up.
Nicole, you're breaking up. Oh, did we lose you?
Just as a final point, I also wanted to say that I think a lot of that too is that we have to think about, you know, working your rates. Like we all have to start with a rate and then work our way up, right? So like if we don't offer a place to start, there's no way to work up for a lot of people. Like I know people that just graduated and they're taking $50, $75 jobs and they call me and I'm like, dude, you should ask for more money. I didn't know I should ask for more money. That $50 rate can become $150 if your work's good and you ask for more money. So a lot of that too is also in the negotiation. That's something that.
And actually, I think Ruth is pretty good about Ruth raises her. Don't you raise your rate by a percentage every year?
Every January.
Yeah. So, but she's been doing this for a long time. She's reliable, dependable. She's very good at what she does, and she can demand that higher rate.
Yeah. So
one thing we could do, we've got something in the chat, by the way, from Mike about regular jobs versus freelance, and I suggest we stick with freelance. But one of the things we could do is in maybe not every issue, but at some point in a couple of issues, a short article, and I'd be up for writing it as long as it doesn't have to be this coming week. A short article about the value of some of these lower paying jobs and how to make them more worthwhile.
That I love.
That I think would address the issue. And then I think we should, I'm sorry, I think we should include some lower pay. If we're listing 5 to 10 jobs, you know, keeping it at 10% or 15% for the lower rates is enough to get people, because it should be a range anyway, right? Like, you know, so that's kind of what my point. And to speak to what Ruth is saying, it's really about letting beginning entry-level journalists know that they can raise their rates. A lot of people don't know to ask.
Yeah.
And if you have a group, they don't know that, right? So putting 4 sentences in a newsletter that says, yes, we offer a few low rates, but doesn't mean that you can't negotiate for a higher rate. Just saying that to people.
Yeah.
I think that would be very empowering, as the cliche goes.
I really like that. So Mike, you can see how we couldn't come up with a decision on this the first time. It's good conversation. So we're trying, Mike. We'll hopefully have this ready to go for next week.
When does
Okay.
I'm looking for work now. When do you need these? Like I'm not clear on the dates. I'm behind all the time. When are the jobs supposed to be in? And we're sticking with
I like to get everything from all the volunteers on either Friday or Saturday. I start putting the newsletter together on Saturday, and I send out the test emails
Sundays.
Saturday afternoon usually.
Perfect.
And then on Monday morning, I make the last edits and send out the newsletter. But
How many jobs?
so really up until Monday, I could, but I'd like to have it all together over the weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, and how many freelance opportunities are you looking for?
I think we've usually averaged between 5 and 6 or something like that.
Okay, so
I don't
not
think
a,
we've gone below, I know we haven't gone below 3, but
Sometimes we've had a good deal more than 5 or 6.
Yeah.
okay, and my last
Yeah,
question is,
yeah.
does that include temporary work? So there's some
Yes.
temporary
Yeah, yeah.
contract, not just,
Yes.
That's kind of what I meant by freelance jobs. You know, some of the jobs will list as a temporary position for, 6 months or something like that.
Yeah.
And some of them also want a freelancer just for that reason, just because it's a temporary position. So,
Yeah, and when I did it, I always listed the temporary jobs, because that can be a freelance gig. You do it for a few months and then you move
yeah,
on to something else. So I am
right.
all for those. And those sometimes pay really well too.
Sometimes those also turn into regular jobs if you do it, depending on the reason that it's temporary in the first place.
Right.
sounds like something that
Right.
should be in a sentence in the newsletter near the jobs part. Like, it sounds like we don't, from what I'm hearing, it sounds like the consensus is that we don't really want to focus on low paying jobs. We want to use them as seasoning. And maybe we put 1 or 2 sentences to explain what Ruth just said as part of the intro for that section.
Okay.
Unless,
Ginny is here now, and Nicole. Ginny, you did not make noise when you came into the waiting room, and neither did you, Nicole. So I don't know what that's all about, but you're here now. Thank you. We've just been talking about the newsletter and the jobs section of the newsletter. So Ginny, you haven't missed too much so far. I mean, it's been a good conversation, but it's recorded, and I'm sorry that I didn't notice that you were in the waiting room sooner than that.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, and Nicole is back. Yep, she's back. Okay. Okay, so I think I'm feeling better about this, about the jobs section. So we'll keep that going. I'm going to move on to the next thing just because we've got 30 minutes. Sarah G, do you want to just give a very quick update? We can't really rely too much on these numbers because, I mean, I'm not even on the list. So let's just give me what your update is.
So our latest, well, I looked at February's, and February's was completely garbled. But our most recent, we have 497, which is, and I'm comparing it to January because February's numbers are so garbled. So it's down 7 from January. We had like 504 in January. So, like you said, I'm not sure how accurate things are. It sounds about right. We've been hovering a little above or under 500, but again, everything's all over the place. So, that's what we have on paper. And I've been sending over Hazel Axe for the 2025 numbers. I've sent her I don't think I sent her January's yet, but I sent her February's and this month's, and I think I'll send her January's numbers as well. And I believe I'm still not able to upload to the drive, and she's going to help me with that. So we'll be working
Okay.
on that in the background. Did you want an update with the email? Or is that later on?
I think we've got a lot to get to. If you're okay with,
Well, there's no
um,
report, basically.
oh, well, then it's over. Okay.
No report. Margaret was in the waiting room. There was a account recovery, but nothing major. Everything, because today this month is my month, so nothing to
Okay.
really report. We can move on quickly from there.
Okay, just the SPJ freelance community email. I did January. Ginny was on the slate for February, and she tried like heck to get in. Something happened with Gmail, and it is very difficult to add a new number or I can't figure out. Hazel and I worked on this and we couldn't figure it out. I think Hazel figured it out eventually, but then it was already the end of February. Sergi, are you able to get in to check the March emails? Have
Yeah,
you
that's what
tried yet?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I did. I don't know if you
Oh,
heard me.
sorry.
That's what I
Okay,
was,
I did.
that's what I was saying. I was in there, but I'm afraid that if I get logged out,
You'll
uh,
never get back in.
yeah, I'll
Never
never
log
get back
out.
in. But I'm
Okay.
in, and but I usually have like 5,000 tabs, and they never close. So
Yep,
as long as I
perfect.
don't accidentally close that tab, I'm good. So we'll see. I hoard tabs
Okay.
all day long. So
Sorry, I thought you were talking about the email when you email people like, hey, rejoin us. We saw that you
no, no,
left.
no. I was
Sorry, I
talking
was
about
very confused. I
our
got you.
yeah, our email report.
Nicole just added in the chat when we talked about our membership numbers, Nicole, because she's on the board and she's on the part of the national board and she knows the numbers there. She says roughly 1 in 6 to 1 in 7 SPJ members are part of our freelance community.
Oh wow. Excellent.
So yeah, I'm
Stacy,
shocked.
excuse me, is there a way of resizing your screen so it
Ooh.
doesn't take the entire
Oh,
screen
can't
at
you
my
guys do
end?
that can't you do that by yourselves?
No, yours is covering everything. I can't get to anything.
I have the chat box, all of you and my screen up.
Yeah,
Can
yeah,
anybody
it's
else
covering
change?
everything.
No, you
Can
can
anyone else change?
go to the top and press view and then choose like side by side or gallery.
It's not giving me that option, Solomon. It's covering
I just wish
everything
you
and
would scroll down,
Yeah.
Stacy. I can see the rest of the
Say it
the rest
again.
of the date. I wish you
never
would scroll
mind. Never mind.
the rest of the dates for the meetings. Yeah, I was copying them and then
Okay, I want this to be up so that Margaret,
Ah.
our guest,
Wait a minute. I think it might have.
is here, and I don't think she has an agenda. So I do want to keep it up. I think there's ways, and you just might have to play around with it. I can see everybody right now, so
That's not my question. My question is, how do I make your screen on my machine
yeah, and I
smaller
don't know.
so that I can
Yeah, I
see the
know.
view options? But
Right,
never
but when
mind.
you ask me if
Don't
I
worry
could
about it.
change
We don't
it,
have time
yeah,
for
I
this.
don't know. So we started last month, we voted to form a freelance community social media committee. It was a unanimous yes. And there's 4 of us on that committee. Anybody else is welcome to join. Nicole, do you have an update for that? We had a meeting since we last met.
The primary focus of the meeting was to get some sort of flyer ready for the New York College Media Association conference, in which we also had heavy SPJ presence at, and then just starting to work through a task list and setting goals. And we hope to have something to put before the board in our April meeting as kind of a more comprehensive plan.
Awesome. Nicole made, just so everybody knows, CMA, the ProCon conference happened in Manhattan this past weekend, and Nicole had some very tastefully done flyers for the SPJ freelance community. So that happened while we were there. It was great. I want
I
to,
missed it.
I know, Ruth, I heard you were sick. Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
We
I
were
hope,
afraid it was the flu, and luckily it was not, but I was kind of a wreck for several days.
oh, geez. Well, I'm
And
glad
I
you're
did
better.
not want to pass it on to my friends.
Well, I actually thought like, why would, well, like you're in the middle of a move too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, why would she even come to this? She's in the middle of a move.
Well,
So,
at the time that I agreed to do it, I wasn't planning to move, or at least not
okay.
as quickly as I am. But yeah, literally in the middle, I am surrounded by boxes.
It's exciting.
Very.
So I want to talk to you about, Nicole and Michael Koretsky and I had a conversation 2 weeks ago, roughly, about Media Fest 2025. That's in the end of October in Washington, DC. It's the same hotel place that it was 3 years ago, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. And the pitch, or the what Michael wanted to meet about was I don't know how, Nicole, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're sort of offering, I don't know if that's the right word, but they're offering us to have a freelance track and a dedicated room for all of our freelance sessions, which I asked how many sessions would that be? And we could fill every slot if we wanted to. We could have that many. It's not mandatory to have that many, but that means we could have as many as 10 sessions on our own. Which I am super excited about. So it sounds like a lot, but I think we can pull this off. So there are every year, just to kind of catch everybody up, every year, oh, sorry, Nicole just corrected me, 12 sessions. Every year we pitch to national headquarters. They have to have sessions that, appeal to a wide range of people, but we've had 3 or 4 sessions, 3 sessions or so each year. We had 4 last time, 2 years ago. But we have to really think about we have to decide, what do we want to put in there? Ruth always has a freelancing 101, or she's presented that many times, but we can't have the same one with the same speaker every year as one of our 3 or 4, right? So we've sort of been not limited, but we wanted to sort of mix it up. So last year, 2 years ago, we had an imposter syndrome one, which was great, but even though it's great, we'd want to do it again. We don't want to do it again because if we only have 3 spaces, we want to come up with 3 different ones. What this would do is open up some of those staples that we always talk about that we think we should have, but we want new ones. We don't want to do the same thing every year. We can have some of those staples. So if Ruth is able to go to DC and to do the conference in October, Ruth could do Freelancing 101. I just presented
I'm planning on it.
Perfect. I just presented a session at CMA or the ProCon conference on mastering the medium, switching from digital to print to broadcast. I've done all 3. So I kind of give the ins and outs of how to write for each one. I gave those college kids the advice to go take a broadcast writing class if you are a print major, and vice versa. So that one, it's already done. I could do that one again. Ruth can do hers again. We have at least 2 others that we have done that would be great to bring into this. So if we have the possibility of 12, I know we could get at least 7. If we could get all 12, great. But what this would open up the door to is for any one of us, Sergi, Solomon, James, Alexandra, Hazel, maybe wants to present, Nicole, Ginny, anybody who wants to present something could really make one session really their own, your expertise. What do you want to present? Or maybe you want to co-present with somebody. Maybe you just want to moderate one that you're really interested in. Maybe it wouldn't have been one of the 3 we pitched this year, but it certainly could be one of the 12 or 10. So I just wanted to open up that idea. I'm going to switch my screen for a second. I have shared this with about all of you. I did it right before the meeting. If you can see this is Media Fest 2025. Here, I've just copied and pasted the webinar ideas that we've come up with so far. All of these can have different names, of course, just that sort of ideas. I want us to populate this. Let's add more to this. And what do we like? And then maybe in April, we can sort of start narrowing it down. I think they need to be approved by the board. We can't just say, oh, I'm going to do this one, and you just take off on doing it. We need to really present this in front of the board. I'm putting down here the 2025 session proposals, ones that we would submit or say, hey, these are the ones that we would like to do at the conference to Nicole Koretsky, the people organizing it. And I'm going to just put Freelancer 101 and mastering the medium, freelancing for digital broadcast and print. If anybody has objections to those, please speak up. I don't mean that those are certain. I just mean that those presentations could probably run themselves at this point. So I'm going to put those in there because those are 2 slots that we've already got. And we know that those will be well attended and people would like. So everybody has access to this. Please feel free to go in and add. Don't put anything in that 2025 section. I'm just putting that down there because I shouldn't assume, but if we'll kind of vote on it in April. But I assume that you guys will be okay with that.
May I suggest? that
Yeah.
we take that list and then if anybody has other topics to add to it, and then we start ranking them between now and the April board meeting and see which ones come out as the most as the highest priority to focus on.
Yep. What do you think? Do you want to do like maybe on our own, we list our top 3 or top 5 maybe?
That might be easier than trying to rank all 15.
Yeah. Like our favorite, the ones that we think that would offer the most value, and see how many of those match. And okay. And then I think we can, if we have an open slot or two, the other part of this is that, sorry, I'm just going to read you what Nicole just wrote. Michael wanted all freelance related sessions to run through us. You mean the freelance community, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and this is something that Hazel brought up about partnering with IIJ. And I think that I think we've been given this opportunity. It might be the only year we get this. Koretsky said. So we're going to run with this. I think we should, unless anybody really has objections to this. I think we should do this. If IIJ does pitch freelance sessions, of those that those could run in our room. So maybe we ended up doing 9 sessions and they did 3, or something. We don't know how many they're going to pitch. They just had their conference last week. It's a virtual conference. But I think we're going to sort of wait and see what they pitch, and then we can sort of work them in. And Hazel, do you want to speak on this? What your thoughts are on this?
You're
Okay,
muted.
I know. I was just, never mind. I was being technically challenged. I think it's a good idea for us to work with any other freelance group. I think that we should be the welcoming freelance group that reaches out to others and says, please work with us, help us train people, help us do whatever. I think that it could get really insular otherwise. And hush up. I don't think that I think this board is very dynamic, and clearly everybody who's here is interested. Maybe even Ms. Mulvihill, I hope. Oh, wait a minute, that's not your name anymore. I apologize. Lawson, okay, there it is. So I just think that anybody who is interested in having programming should join us and do it at Media Fest. That's my feeling about it.
And we Nicole and Michael and I did talk about that, and we all sort of came to that same consensus that yes, whatever's pitched by them. That doesn't mean if they pitch 10, you accept all 10. That wouldn't get it. We wouldn't have been able to do that either. But if they have 3 sessions that are approved, we have the space for those 3 sessions to exist in the freelance sort of track room. And then he even said we could even have like co-sponsored by IIJ. We talked them up too, even though this is an SPJ conference, we would talk them up too, that we've done this in collaboration with them. So I think you're right. I think there's a way to work together. I don't think at this point we would necessarily reach out. I think we'd wait a little bit till it gets a little bit closer.
Okay.
And I think we want to decide on which ones we really want to do. If we have 7 we absolutely want to do, then we won't have any issues. If we could say, hey, do you have 3 or 4 sessions you guys would like to do? And then sort of invite them that way. They might not want, also, they might say, no, we're just going to do this on our own. And they might not want to participate with us. I still think that Michael and the team at headquarters still wants those sessions to be in the freelance room. So it just, we'll have to exist together. I think that's the idea.
I have a
I
question.
just wanted to point out, I wanted to point out conflicts of interest. I work for IIJ, and one of the content people. I'm a communications associate for them, so I write their newsletter. And hopefully soon we'll be helping them with those socials. But I love IIJ so much. Catherine is so great. So I love that idea. But I will say, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be continuing with IIJ because it's meant to be like more temporary thing, but I might have small conflict of interest. So but I love them and I think that's a great idea. I also
Good.
will say, I really do think we need like a young freelancer session and I'd be happy
Yes.
to be involved in it. I would need an expert. I would definitely want to be paired with and you know, maybe even need help finding, you know, a good expert to talk about that. But just even with our conversation this evening with the jobs and whatnot, you know, maybe if we could even have a panel on that, I think that'd be really great. But yeah, I just wanted to make a quick note about that.
Yeah. I bet that'll be in the top 5 for a lot of people, that breaking into freelancing as a young journalist, which will be different than freelancing 101. We'll have to make sure that they're very different. We don't want
Yeah.
things that are too close together. But James, that might be something that you're a moderator, and as a young journalist, you can add your thoughts on, and then, like you said, have an expert who can really give some good advice to people. So someone who is seasoned, who can give some good advice to people. So we still want, just to be clear, we still want outside presenters. We don't want just people on the board presenting.
Right.
So, you know, we want to make sure that we're sort of getting lots of different faces, diverse faces, lots of different people from broadcast, print, lots of entities. Who else had their, Hazel, did you just, oh, Solomon.
I can wait. I just had a few structural questions.
Ask Solomon.
Okay, well, my first question is, I see when we do these panels and we have these tracks that there's often a meetup for the people in the tracks, and we have had problems trying to find space for those types of things. So is that something we would want to leverage, like trying to find where we can have a whole room where all of these freelancers can mingle together?
That is what we're doing. We are going to have a dedicated room. So that I should also fill you in on this. So we're going to have the dedicated freelance room, which is going to be where all the sessions are. When sessions aren't happening, we are going to be in there. Lunch and Learn can be in there. That'll kind of work as our freelance corner. We can have a little bit set up outside too, so we can kind of get people in there. The other thing that Koretsky and Nicole and I talked about is setting up the freelance corner, not the freelance corner, but a freelance corner in the exhibit hall. So everybody's milling through there, and then having some sort of comfy chairs or something around where we are making it look like a cozy, sort of inviting space. And all of us as board members, or anybody who goes to the conference, would just kind of float through. You wouldn't be sitting in one chair the whole time, the whole conference, but you'd be kind of, you know, I might be there for an hour, Ruth might then be there for an hour, Solomon, just for different faces to be representing the freelance community in the exhibit hall, which would give us some really good exposure. And that was Koretsky's idea, which I love.
Okay.
So that's in the works too. So we actually would have the space in the exhibit hall, as well as this is also, I'm going to go back to my agenda, what we have done before. So the networking events outside of the sessions, we still would like to do the freelance happy hour, the freelance lunch and learn. That would probably be in that room. We have just done that in the hallway before.
But that's
So
because
this
we
would be
didn't
nice.
have a room.
Exactly. So this would be great to have a room for that. I really want the lunch and learn to still happen. And there's some other things, we might come up with some other ideas since we have the space. We only have the space till 5 o'clock every day. That's another thing we should know. So like, there's no way a happy hour or like a social hour could happen in there. It ends at 5 p.m., but we have it from 8 to 5, roughly. Those are the hours.
Okay. It sounds like
So I'm super excited about it. I hope that you all are too. Very excited to do this. We also know the DC hotel. Those of us who've been there, this isn't going to be a new space. You know, we've been there. We know it. We'll be a little bit more comfortable. This is when Solomon had the suite. We had the freelance hour in his suite upstairs. If you can hook that up again, Solomon, that would be great.
Yeah, wear your uniform.
Hazel asked, will we still have a corner in the corridor? I don't think so. I think the corner, we would have people still sort of outside of our room. You know, when we're not in a session, which we would still have people sort of outside there, and as well in the exhibit hall, where those would be the two spaces that we are, or where we are.
Excuse me,
Oh,
Stacy,
Nicole.
can you
Yeah.
put me on mute? I need to call my client because I think they're trying to reach me and I can't get to the rest of my screen.
Yes. You're on mute, Ruth. Nicole just said it would be a larger corner in the exhibit hall. So yeah, I think that would be great. I think it'd be fun. I mean, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but I think it's something new. How it's just a new thing to try to have a freelance track. You know, and if it works, great. Maybe the next board will adopt it for next year too. But it could be that this is the only year it's happened. So let's make it happen big. Let's go big. Is my
Okay, I was just
motto.
asking because I know like some of the,
You muted yourself. What'd you say?
I was gonna say that I was asking because I know that some of the other events that I went to when they had a track and they had that room, they did instead, you know, they filled it with things that if they hadn't had a room would have been considered superfluous, like a board game meeting or like an exchange of cards or that kind of stuff, like these brief, like mixing kind of get to know people type of events.
Yeah. And we might have one session time, like 10 to 10:50, you know, like where the session of times are. We might have one where it is just network with freelancers. It's not a formal session, you know, maybe we have 10 sessions and we leave 2 open that are, you know, something like that, where it's a session time, but it's just, you know, come and hang out and talk to us. Maybe we do a pitch, like let's perfect pitches, things like that we've talked about doing in the past.
Well,
Um,
when I went to AAJA, the thing that was good about some of the tracks is that you could use those spaces or those times, those small intervals as a way for the space to become a place that people go to when they're looking for a space to go, which keeps the space alive, allows people to go in and out and makes people want to come back. Because a lot of the sessions can be wearing. So being able to go in and sit down at a table and talk to other freelancers is kind of
Yep.
definitely want
Yep.
to.
We did that in San Antonio. We had a session. It was very weird. There were 3 or 4 of us that it was niche reporting. Well, sorry, mine was niche reporting. And then somebody else had another topic. We had 3 or 4 different topics going on in the same room at the same time, and you kind of picked your table, what you wanted to talk to. So I was doing the niche reporting and I had maybe 5 or 6 people there. What happened is that this was scheduled at a time when there was a big meeting with regional coordinators and lots of people had to leave, the people who were running these little sessions in this room. So it turned out that I was left with everybody alone in the room. But it was just a very casual talk about freelancing, where people find jobs. How'd you break into that market? Oh, do you know about this place? Oh, if you do that, you should write for this place. You know, it really was a very casual, informal chat for an hour, and it was awesome.
I think that's
So
necessary for freelancers because the other thing about freelancers is that a lot of us, there's no book, right? Like even though
Yeah.
we have it online, there's no real manual. So a lot of people have questions. And when we have structured sessions, it makes it hard for people to get their questions answered. But if they can sit down at a table with somebody, they might meet somebody that answers that question. So that's the end of my.
yep, I think that's great.
Oh, I think that that's also where like the luncheons and the the happy hour, like I think we can have some really great offerings. The other thing that Michael said was that because we would be programming an entire room, we could also in some ways mess with the timing of it. So if we needed to do kind of like a back-to-back super session, right? That I know like the editor meet and greet sometimes takes to really do well, you could do it as a 2-hour block.
Yeah.
Or conversely, he leads a whole session that's called Shark Meet, and it's like a bunch of like small random topics that you could maybe try to do a full session on, but it's better just to have as like little bite-sized things. So you could do like 2 like 25-minute mini sessions so people feel that they're welcome to come in at, 9:25 instead of right at 9 o'clock when it starts or whatever. And plan those for like the morning or something. So there's a lot of options and flexibility having that
Yeah.
control over a room.
And so there's space for 12 sessions, but we could go with 7 sessions and fill 5 other hours with different stuff, right? So we don't have to have 12. We don't have to fill that. There's no mandatory anything. But we might want to make sure that we leave space for the networking questions. How do you find jobs? That sort of stuff to take place in that room. I love this. I could talk about this all day. I'm not going to. We got to move on. But we'll be talking more in depth about this in April. That'll be 6 months from conference. So I think we'll want to start moving forward in April on these sessions. The webinars still exist. We haven't had one yet this year. And Nicole is planning on doing a webinar at the end of March. Do you have an update, Nicole?
Just that I'm still working on it. And I'm looking at that last week in March, or that like the 31st is like a Monday.
Okay.
So I'm
If
working with the
you,
expert.
when you get a date, or if you just want to put a tentative date in just to make sure that you've got the space and time. I don't know if you have access to the Freelance Zoom account, right?
Yeah,
Or sorry,
I do.
not the Freelance, but the SPJ.
Yeah.
So you might just want to
Yep.
book it just in case. You can cancel it later, but just to make sure we have that. Alex wasn't able to be here tonight, but I'll reach out to Alex just to see if this is still something that she wants to do for April. How to navigate visibility in high risk fields. I went to 3 AI sessions for journalists over the weekend. There's a lot on this. I think we could do another one of these. It wouldn't be with Srinivasan. He kind of gave us an overview, but I think we should do one on AI tools that journalists can use. I think that would be very valuable. And I know Sergi doesn't want to hear this. I just said it again in my class, to one of my classes today. You got to get on board, just like with computers, just like with calculators in the way olden days. You got to get on board or you're going to get left behind. So you've got to learn how to use these tools. I'm telling every high school kid this. So I'd love to do that one for May. So, and then Ruth, I don't know if we've picked a topic yet, but Ruth had volunteered to moderate one in June. But you don't need to decide the topic yet for that, Ruth.
Let me think about it. Give me a couple days. I have a couple ideas that I'd like to do.
Okay, great. And I think if any of these webinars that like are super high attended or great feedback or went really well, we could use some of these ideas also for our sessions, right? We've already done it. We've got the speaker. Hey, would you come back? Would you come to DC and speak with us? That could be a great way to do that. So,
and I suggest that when we're planning the conference possibilities, we keep in mind the idea of finding speakers who are in the DC, Baltimore, Virginia, maybe New York, Philly area. So if we're asking people to come and speak, they're not going to have to spend a lot of money that they wouldn't spend otherwise.
Yep.
The hotel is not cheap.
Yeah. And when I do the editor freelancer, I'm looking for the editors in that city, in whatever city it's in. So same thing for speakers. DC is a great place to have it. There's a ton of people, and New York's pretty close. So even if they are in New York, that's a pretty quick trip. They might do that. They might be going to the conference anyway. I love this. Nicole wrote Sri when he spoke this week. Sri said, "You won't lose your job to AI, but you will lose it to people who know how to use AI." And he said that in our session he did with us. If you remember, Sri did an AI session with us last year. And I say that in every class I go into when I introduce them to ChatGPT and how it can help on their resumes. I say the same thing to them. So I'm carrying Sri's words of wisdom.
I've got 6:30 my time, 7:30 yours.
Yep, 7:30. I think we're good. I think we went through the whole agenda, and I think there's a lot of excitement. I hope, certainly on my end of things, I hope that you are all feeling the same thing. We are going to talk to Koretsky again next week, Nicole and I, or maybe this week, it's either this week or next week, we're going to talk again and we'll kind of get this a little bit more fleshed out. So by April, we'll have a little bit more, things that are set in stone. So anything you think about, if you're thinking about, don't wait until April. If you can email it to me, any ideas that you have for the room, for the conference, anything like that, that you think that Nicole and I should talk to Koretsky about, please send that to me within the next week or so. It won't be your only chance. I'm just saying, like, with the next time we talk to him. All right. I think we're good. I loved it. Awesome meeting. Thank you all for showing up. I apologize again, Ginny. And Margaret, thank you so much for coming. Margaret, before we leave, I should have done this in the beginning. I was just so eager to get started. If you're there still, Margaret, could you introduce yourself? Just tell us where you're from.
Well, I'm living in Salisbury, Maryland right now. I did live in the DC area, and I was on the SPJ DC Pro chapter a long time ago.
Okay. Are you freelancing now?
I am, yes.
Awesome. Well, good.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. I'm going to say this because I say this to all guests. If you're interested in just getting involved, let us know. We always have something for any volunteers to do. Are you planning on going to Media Fest in October?
Yes, I am.
Great. So we'll
Yeah.
definitely meet you there. Please come back to another board meeting where
I will.
we'd love to have you. So
Thank you.
we're always up for guests. Did you have any questions for us? Is there anything that you were interested in talking about?
No, I really wanted to listen in and see what was going on. I'm on that gaggle as well, the email gaggle.
Perfect.
And
Okay.
I just wanted to see what was going on before I renew my membership.
Oh, good. Well,
Yes.
if you renew, then I'll know that this was a successful meeting.
Yeah, I do plan on renewing, yes.
Oh, that is great to hear.
One quick question before we close up. Can one of you send me information about the Gaggle email list? I had no idea we even had one.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we can do that. Yeah, it's an interesting place to exist. But yes, we will send that to you, Ruth.
Thank you.
It's the highlight of my day.
It is. It depends. Sometimes it's a good highlight. Sometimes it's like, whoa, well, this is not a good highlight.
Good night,
All right.
all. Thank you.
All
Good
right.
night.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Unlock my screen. Come on, unshare the screen.
It takes me a minute. Okay, I'm gonna stop recording.